Look who it is. He's here to chat with us. I am so excited to talk to you today about your film, Black and White. I'm going to guess by some of the imagery in this was shot in the later part of 2020.
Yeah.
So
it was shot, I think it was June and July of 2020.
So walk me through, where this idea comes from, what the inspiration was, and just sort of tell our audience in your own words, like what the film is.
I had the idea already of like the how the definition of the specific words, grammatically, and what its semantics like mean, and that took a while. I was like thinking of those ideas for a while, and then the event of George Floyd happened. So then I was trying to put all these like pieces together and just trying to bring those images as a performance, more like a commentary on the meaning of those words, and specifically, black and white. So I that's kind of like how it started, and I think the event kind of like pushed a little forward and trying to then like bring it out to try to like just give just a different point of view.
I thought your use of like essentially the definitions and different descriptions of what the color of black and white mean. I think this is a brilliant and powerful and poignant way to send a message, because I've never really heard a description of the color black or a description of the color white before. It's just something that I just accept, blindly. So that door is white, that chair is black, and I never really thought about what those mean. I think it's a really interesting. How much research did you do on the two colors to sort of distill and come up with what serves as the narration of this piece?
Well, I spent quite a few times, because I was trying to get not to modify the actual description that I get in the dictionary. So whatever I was like written there. So like what I did is like I was trying to then like edit, choose which ones match more of the description without modifying the actual meaning of the words, or like the way they put it down. Because I was trying to see how that the imagery worked, not just the word itself, but then how the talent of the actor will like combine those words with, in this case, with paint, which is like white, and how that like then transform to a movement of that. So I was like thinking of several movements or something that I can like identify those. And so it took me a little, like it took a little time, because I was looking at different. So I was looking at the Webster's mainly, and then trying to see which one, like, which words actually like apply, or what I was trying to like convey, without trying to like exaggerate or trying to add to it. I was trying to keep it that, so that it was more or less selection on part, and then like after I see the performance, because I was trying to have the idea of telling the actors, okay, I want these movements, and trying to like how that then these words will like have a rhythm to what he was like saying, So I think
it's a very impartial way to do it, by using the descriptions as you found them, the definitions as you found them. Because you're right, if you were to add an adjective or flavor the sentence a little bit more, you could misconstrue or take the audience down a different path, versus just taking that definition at its face value. When you were, how do you write this is an experimental performance piece style of short film. How do you script something? How do you come up with your visuals when there's not, a traditional narrative of like man walks through door, man has conversation with somebody? How do you go about planning the visuals and scripting that compared to a traditional film?
So for this one, I was like very like I was trying to do a lot of like visual, because I think like we recorded the voice separately from the actor, So I already have like a general structure that I was trying to go through. So basically, it was like the person comes in, and I was trying to like then um, replicate the idea of like he's like unfairly being arrested, right, without actually showing any of that. So the structure in general was like kind of fluid in some way. I have like headlights, or like what I was trying to actually accommodate in each step, and I was trying to then give a little bit of freedom to the actor, and I was thinking that would be a very like enclosed space, and a very like um, with a very defined limits. Like we have just like I mean, it's basically a person in front of a camera, right?
Yes.
The whole thing, and then like what I was trying to then in the description is like how do you like break out the body, like body parts, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, that kind of thing, and then it's like going from there. So the script itself is like the sound or the recording, the voice recording was like separate from the action,
It's similar to the process of making a music video, where your voice narration, the music, that's almost like the bed track, and then you shoot your visuals. And then did you feel like it really, half of your directing was in the editing process of perfectly matching and figuring out which images to use with which part of the voiceover?
Yeah. So a lot of that has to do. It was like that as well. Have the piece of himself, and then like what a movement that I thought was like, okay, this one is actually flows. So some of the first when I record the sound, it was chronological, right? So whatever I hear the description, that's what I did. Just so then when I was trying to put the piece together and how it like evolved, then I changed the location of the boys, And then the other thing that I was trying to get in that piece was the idea of sound, the music that it was composed for it. So I was trying to keep a similar rhythm and pattern with the boys and his movement, and actually with the score as well, right? So the score was done at the very end, and trying to match those rhythms. And I think when I was trying to highlight the specific words or specific movements, then I just like caught the sound off completely, even the room tone and everything, because I think I want to like emphasize even more what he was saying, right?
No, the sound design was beautiful. I listened to it with headphones on, and just getting to hear every moment, and really hearing those accents that you had were really. It's such a simple technique, but it's so powerful to the audience.
Yeah, and that was one of the contributions of the composer, because when I first hear it, I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but I'm of time, keep repeating and keep like listening to it, and it's like, okay, this is our like adding a little bit more of highlighting, specific things that I want to like. So yeah, I think it got put together. It worked well. I think the team that I had with, I think it was pretty small. That everybody was like believing the project, and was really eager to contribute to it, to add every piece, and obviously their feedback, and it was just, I think we can pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it.
What was it? What have audience? You mentioned before we started the interview, it's been to some festivals. What are audience response to this piece? What's the response been?
It's been great. It's been very very positive. I've sent it to several festivals. I won a few awards, like for best cinematography, and like best short film. And I think even though the topic is, it could be a trigger. I think in some way I have received like mostly very positive feedback about it. Everybody like really like enjoy it. And the bad part now is like I would like to obviously use COVID and see it on theaters, and then see how that if there was anything that like to actual live audience, because we did a drive-in, and some of the cars people start honking or something like that, so it's adding a little bit, but everything has been very positive, to
that's great. Well, listen, I love that it's on Reveel'd. I love that it's online, so that the whole world can see it, because I really I don't say this lightly. I think this is one of the best things that I've watched on Reveal. I think it's a super important piece. It's very timely. And on that note, how do you
Well,
think
thank
it's
you.
important for filmmakers to use their voice, to use their skills in making films to bring light to subject matter like this? To if you have a passion or a cause that you believe in, should you as a filmmaker try to find ways to use your talent to highlight that?
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think like the just trying to show a point of view, and hopefully, it creates um, dialogue, conversation or something of the piece. Actually, maybe like if you feel like this way is, it doesn't really happen to everyone or something. At least, hopefully, when you see this piece, it can just like, okay, uh, maybe I was not thinking about race in this way, but like I definitely see how this could be affected certain people in certain ways. So um, yeah, so I think like it's very good that the reception that has been having, and well, I hope that people enjoy it as well, right? And then if anything have obviously any feedback or anything, I'm always open to yeah, obviously, to hear and like trying to like
Hmm.
collaborate. And in this case, I mean, I think that the film is done pretty good because it's timely as well, and trying to see, and some of the imagery that I used at the very beginning was like some of the murals and everything that was here in Portland, in some places.
Yeah.
Uh, and then obviously the image of George Floyd, um, and then the incidents that's happened before, there's like when people cannot really breathe, and stuff like that, So um,
I went.
I,
I was really taken with the use of the white paint, especially
mhm.
when he dips his hands in it. There's this interesting. He's holding his hand up like like a gun out, and all the white paint is there. And it really it made me think of sort of like the police uniform, like when they or military uniforms when they go to funerals or have their full dress uniform. They have the white gloves on,
Oh, okay.
which I really liked. And again, that's just the interpretive thing of like that's what's so great about an experimental piece with what you made is different people are going to take different things from it. But I also like the idea that the paint is very wet, very fresh, and still dripping off his hands the whole time,
Mhm.
which to me was like this symbolism of like you know it, his true colors are going to be revealed, and you can only hide behind something for so long. And it just had all of these different messages sort of going through my head. I had to go back and watch it the second time and just think about it from different points of view. And even what you mentioned, the real art and murals and things of Portland, I went back through and kind of watched it and kept pausing so I could appreciate each, because it
Mhm.
rapid fires through them so quickly. I was very curious to go back and take a more in-depth look once I got to the end of the film, to go back to the beginning and look at some of those images. You pack this thing full of so many interesting images. It warrants at least a second viewing, if not more, to sort of fully appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is good to hear your feedback. I never thought about that, the white gloves on
Hmm.
the army and all that kind of, things. I mean, I was like, what I was trying to like, I guess, part of the original idea was like, how like one like that is no black and white, that we're kind of a mix
Yeah.
in some way, that are like, we all like interact in some way, and in these different cultures, and then the colors is just like a, you know, uh, subjective in some way,
Well,
so like.
the what hands on the throat and pulling that away with the white paint, and the white marks, the damage, the paint being
Mhm.
left on his body, I thought was incredibly striking as well. That really powerful work. How did you cast the actor? What's the actor's name in the piece?
His name is Bryson Black, and
Yeah.
I worked with him in a couple projects before. um, and I cast him because he can cry, cute. I mean, a lot of actors can, right? But
No. Yeah. Yeah.
but so I knew he was going to be um, very expressive,
Hmm.
without overdoing it, like without like showing a lot of like overreacting and all that. And then like the show with the paint, I mean, it has to be one take, right? To
Yeah.
actually like from the whole thing, so we're
Hmm.
rehearsing several times all the movements, do it again, trying to get the stuff and then the rhythm. And then like I was redoing it, I was like walking through it, like, okay, we'll do it this way, stop, take your time, breathe, and all that. And then the imagery that I came out, I mean, I thought was like even better than I was thinking. And that was part of the experimenting that I was doing, because like when he touched his hands, first I was thinking, oh, you're just gonna keep applying paint, so he continues dripping. But then the DP was saying, it's like, oh, it's gonna be obvious there's another layer of paint, because when you add, then you'll see, and it's not gonna be as smooth, because what I was trying to see is like like Greek sculptures are presented as white, but they were never white. They always painted. So now what we see as a sculpture is all completely white, but those are the the remains of the actual paint. So in this way, I'm doing just adding another layer and trying to like just get it to like flow through it, and then the movements and all that. I think like then once he was doing it, then it kept evolving. He just had to be like done on the moment, right? He was not like rehearsals or several times. It's just one take.
Yeah.
It just had to be like, and then I was gonna live with the results, because like I don't think it's not like you can just match it, with film and stuff. You can just like or another projects, you can just like shoot one direction and then you can change to the next camera position, and then you can just match it in different ways. But when you have something that is so obvious, like the paint itself will never match. Will never have.
It'd be very difficult. Yes.
Yeah. So it had to be, and those movements like that I see. I mean, there was like several parts. I saw that there's this French singer, and she's doing the like pointing the gun and that kind of thing. And I started like putting pieces together to say, oh, how that I can highlight that specifically, and yeah, so that's kind of like just like several little pieces.
I normally reserve some of the time in this interview to talk about how you got started in film, what's coming up next, all these other things. But I just wanted to focus on this piece, because I think you made something really beautiful, really poignant, as I said earlier. And I just want to encourage everybody out there, Reveel'd.net, check out Black and White. Edgar, your film is beautiful. I thank you for making it. I think it's a really great look at what was happening in 2020 and what is still happening in the world today and has been happening in the world forever. And I really look forward to seeing more films from you. And please keep in touch, because I'd love to know what you're up to next. And I think our audience is going to really appreciate this film. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.